Hello, I'm attorney Paul Whalen from Afford Law. At Afford Law, we practice criminal and family law throughout Massachusetts. Our fees are all based on your income, so the less you make, the less you pay. Today, we're going to be discussing the difference between sealing your criminal record and expunging your criminal record in Massachusetts. So, in either case, what you're trying to do is you're trying to keep other people from seeing that you have a criminal record. Expungements in Massachusetts are very limited. It's as opposed to other states. Say, for example, Rhode Island has a much more comprehensive expungement statute. Many more cases can be expunged. An expungement basically destroys all the evidence of the case. So the case file itself, the documents, the file are actually physically destroyed. There's no record that is kept of that. Um, a ceiling, on the other hand, is basically a limiting who has access to that record. So for the most part, people cannot see a record that is sealed. There's been a fairly recent change to the sealing record, making it more beneficial for people who want to seal their record. And of course, there's many reasons why you want to have your record sealed. If you're going for a job, you certainly don't want any potential employers to see that if at all possible. If you're trying to rent a house, or if you're especially if you're in subsidized housing with the government and so forth, all of those things can cause you a great deal of embarrassment and discomfort, and possibly cost you the job or the housing itself. So a ceiling is more common, and it's less. It's more limited in its scope. So what happens with the ceiling is that the records are removed from the public, certainly. So typically, landlords, employers, for the most part, and the general public do not have access to that information. However, there are certain groups that do have access to a sealed record. People such as the court system, police departments, certain military, certain employers. If there's a particular security issue that would be encompassed within that employment, could still have access to that record. So it used to be that when you sealed your record, it would still show up on your criminal record, or on your CORI. So it would show that you were arrested and that you had a charge, but it wouldn't show what the charge was and what the outcome was. So I think there was like a big S for sealed record. So that was pretty misleading for a lot of folks, because what happens is, if you had, say, you had a minor shoplifting charge, for instance, you had a shoplifting charge, it was ultimately dismissed, and you sealed that record, it still shows that you were arrested and charged with something, but you don't know what it is and you don't know what the outcome was. So a potential employer doesn't know if it's shoplifting, or if it's an assault and battery charge, or something much more serious than that. So in the under the old system, it was disadvantageous sometimes to seal your record. Sometimes you were better off being able to show, say, for instance, that it was a minor charge and that it was ultimately dismissed, rather than giving up a big question mark to say, leave it to the employer's imagination what it is that you were charged with, and if you were convicted, perhaps if you did jail time or whatever it might be. So it's a little bit better now, much better now, actually, when it comes to sealing somebody's record. So the whole idea is that you have to, as far as the process goes, you have to petition the court to seal or expunge your record. And you have to typically have to go before a judge. Sometimes you can just do it on the papers, depending on what the charge was, what the outcome was, and how long ago it was. So there's a length of time that's involved as well. It's usually a pretty good idea to seal your case if you can now. As I say, much more advantageous than it was before. So to seal it, then other people can't really pry into your affairs, especially if something happened a long time ago. As far as expungements go, they are generally restricted to cases that happened before somebody's 21 years of age, and it has to be typically it's a very minor type situation, certainly misdemeanors, no crimes of violence, and so forth. So whether you can seal or expunge your record has to do with what you're charged with, in some cases, how old you were at the time. You can't have anything else on your criminal record. If you have several other matters, you probably cannot get something sealed on your criminal record. So that's sort of the long and short of sealing and expunging criminal records in Massachusetts. As I say, at Afford Law, we do practice criminal and family law throughout Massachusetts. And we're trying to give voice in the courtroom to the hardworking men and women of Massachusetts. Our fees are based on your income on a sliding scale. So that means the less that you make, the less you have to pay for our services. Please feel free to visit us at affordlaw.org and find out some information there. Feel free to book a free virtual appointment with me. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have about your criminal or family law questions in Massachusetts. At Afford Law, we're making justice affordable.